Hey everyone, and welcome. So, your car's thrown you a P0715 code, and now you're wondering what on earth that means. Well, you've come to the right place. In this explainer, we're going to break it all down: what that code is, what's causing it, and what you can do about it. Let's get right into it. You know that feeling, right? You're just driving along, minding your own business, and then, boom, that little check engine light pops up on the dash. It's that universal symbol for, oh great, what's this going to cost me? It's frustrating, for sure, but don't worry. Knowledge is power, and today we're going to get you powered up. So, you've plugged in your trusty code reader, and it spits out P0715. It just sounds like a bunch of random letters and numbers, I know, but it's not random at all. It's actually a very specific clue that's pointing us right to a problem in your car's transmission. Let's figure out what it's trying to tell us.
Okay, first things first. We need to translate this code from car language into plain English. What is your vehicle actually trying to say here? The real key phrase here is malfunction in the circuit. This tells us everything. At its heart, this code means there's a communication breakdown. Your car's computer, the brains of the operation, often called the PCM or TCM, is trying to talk to a really important sensor, but it's getting bad info, or maybe no info at all. The best way to picture this is to think of the input speed sensor as a messenger. Its only job is to constantly report back to the car's computer and say, hey, this is how fast the transmission's input shaft is spinning. The computer absolutely needs that info to decide the perfect time to shift gears. So when that messenger suddenly stops showing up or starts talking nonsense, the computer gets confused, your gear shifts get all jerky and weird, and you guessed it, the check engine light comes on. And, this brings up something that trips a lot of people up. Your car actually has a couple of these speed sensors. The P0715 code is specifically about the input sensor. That's the one measuring the speed coming from the engine into the transmission. The output sensor, on the other hand, measures the speed going out to the wheels. That's the one that tells your speedometer how fast you're actually going. See? Two totally different jobs. Okay, so now that we know what the problem is, we can put on our detective hats and figure out why it's happening. And like any good investigation, we're going to start with the most obvious suspects first. We're going to zoom in on these three main culprits. Honestly, in the vast majority of cases, the answer to the P0715 mystery is hiding in one of these three places. So let's take a closer look at each one. Let's start with the absolute simplest thing, your transmission fluid. If the level is too low, that's a problem right there. But it's also about the condition of the fluid. If it's old, burnt, and full of tiny metal particles from just normal wear and tear, well, those little metal bits can mess with the sensor's magnetic signal, giving it bad readings and causing all sorts of trouble. All right, the next logical suspect is the sensor itself. I mean, it could have just plain failed. But hey, before you run out and buy a new one, think about this. The sensor works using a magnet. Over time, that magnetic tip can get covered in all that metallic gunk floating around in the fluid. Sometimes the fix is as easy as pulling the sensor out and just cleaning it off. Now this one is a biggie. A wire that's been frayed or a connector that's all corroded, it can cause the exact same symptoms as a totally dead sensor. It's like having a perfect phone, but the line is cut. The signal gets created, but it just never reaches the computer. So you always want to give the wiring a good look before you blame the sensor. So what happens if you've checked the fluid, you've inspected the wiring, you even cleaned the sensor, and you're still getting that code? Well, then it's time to dig a little deeper into some of the less common and, more serious causes. These are the two culprits you're really hoping it's not. We're talking about a serious mechanical issue deep inside the transmission itself, or a problem with the car's main computer, that powertrain or transmission control module. But hey, before you panic, let me put this into perspective. A bad computer is really rare. You should rule out every other possibility, the fluid, the sensor, the wiring, long before you ever start thinking the computer is the problem. It's usually going to be something else. Okay, let's pull all this information together into a game plan. Here's a logical, step-by-step process you can follow to track down and, hopefully, fix this P0715 code for good. This is your playbook. You start with step 1, the fluid. It's the easiest and cheapest thing to check. If that's all good, move on to a visual inspection of the wiring. Still nothing? Then you can test the sensor with a multimeter to see if it's working right. And hey, while it's out, you might as well give it a good cleaning. If you've done all that and the light is still on, that's probably when it's time to call in a professional. Now, here's a really crucial piece of advice. How hard this job is depends completely on what kind of car you have. On some vehicles, that sensor is sitting right on the outside of the transmission, super easy to get to. But on others, it's buried deep inside, which is a much bigger job. So do yourself a favor and look up a diagram for your specific car so you know what you're getting into. And that really brings us to our final thought here. A P0715 code can sound super intimidating, but as we've just seen, the cause is often something pretty simple. So the question I'll leave you with is this. Could spending just 10 minutes to check your fluid or look at a wire save you from a massive repair bill down the road? In my book, it's always worth starting with the basics.